GPU prices are falling, budget GPUs are back in stock, but before you get too excited, GPU prices might be going up. Let's talk about the GPU market and what you need to know in order to get a graphics card right now. Coming right up. Come on. Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Can you believe it? It's July and I am still having to do this monthly series updating you on GPU stock and GPU pricing for the NVIDIA RTX 3000 series, the AMD RX 6000 series, and older generation GPUs like the RTX 2060. It's absolutely insane that we're still doing this, but here we are. Now, on the one hand, there's some good news that we're going to go over. I'm really excited about in terms of the pricing continuing to come down for the newer generation cards like the RTX 3060 in particular and the RX 6700 XT. We're going to go over that. And of course, I've got some exciting news for you in terms of budget GPUs coming back in stock around-ish the MSRP prices, to the point where you could actually go out and build a PC right now at the budget level, even for 1440p gaming, and have a great experience. So before I share all of this with you, of course, remember to like the video if you get value out of it. And if you're new here, PC Builder is all about getting you the best price to performance in your PC. So if you want to subscribe, join us. We're up over 40,000 now and we're growing. All right, with that, let's jump into it. Right before we jump into the GPU stuff that I know you're all here for, I want to give you a very brief CPU update because there's actually some really exciting news on that front too, particularly if you are in the United States. And that is that the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X finally is back in stock at Amazon. The last one I was able to buy from Amazon was back in November 22nd of 2020. So this is a big deal. I'll have links to all this stuff down in the description below too, so you can find it very quickly. So 5900X in stock at MSRP for $549 at Amazon with 2-day delivery coming to you right away. And the 5950X, while not in stock at Amazon, is in stock on AMD's website for delivery. So I'll leave a link to that as well. Now, of course, that's not the only good news on the Ryzen front. The 5800X has come down in price since we last talked about it. It's going for about $400. It briefly dipped all the way down to $390 on a site. Right now it's at $410 on Amazon. I think it's going to keep bouncing around $400, making it a much better value than it was at $450. If you're looking to build an Intel i5 11400 system, I got bad news for you. Those CPUs are way out of stock right now and they're completely overpriced. As a result, this is $282. I would not buy it. The 10400F is in stock, of course. You can get that for $155. That's a really good buy, especially if you get it with a good B560 motherboard. The 10600K, of course, is also in stock at $214, and that is really tempting, particularly with the Ryzen 3600 being so overpriced right now, about $240, $250. I wouldn't buy it at that price. And then, of course, for budget builders, and this is actually important because I'm going to show you some budget GPUs you can actually buy. You can get a Core i3 10100F, great CPU for a budget rig for only $105, which is phenomenal. Of course, if you're on the AMD side and you want to build a budget rig, the Ryzen 5 1600AF, that's AF, it's not the old version, it's essentially a Ryzen 2600 processor for only $150. Now, yes, these originally launched at $85 way over a year ago, but $150 is a great price for them. So those are some CPUs right now. If you're looking to build a budget system with some of the GPUs I'm about to show you, you can do that. All right, let's jump into the current generation of pricing for RTX 3000 series cards and Radeon RX 6000 series cards on the secondary market, which is pretty much where you got to go to get them right now. So as we talked about in our last video, pricing had reached peak and began to come down, and that's due to big changes with Ethereum mining. We'll go through that in a second. Ethereum's not crashing, by the way, and I keep hearing people say that. Don't get that in your head. That is not happening, and it still could lead to some danger for gamers in terms of the price of GPU down the line. So I grabbed the Tom's Hardware data for this month and I put it in this nice little spreadsheet because I thought this would be a lot easier to read. You can see that the bellwethers that I look at is like the RTX 3060. $909 in May, went down in early June to $874, as I showed you before. Then it went down to $742 in late June. And the change just from early June to late June, that's 15% decrease. That's significant. That's double digits. Same with the RX 6700 XT. And the reason I'm highlighting those two cards is because those cards are actually sub $800 for the first time since I can remember. In the GPU crisis. So those are the bellwethers that I look at both on the AMD Radeon side as well as the NVIDIA RTX 3000 series side. Okay, so why are those cards continuing to come down? Well, it all has to do with changes in Ethereum. Now remember, miners use GPUs to mine cryptocurrency, and it's literally printing them money like an ATM. So they're willing to pay ungodly amounts for this, way more than you or I as a gamer, and they want to buy as many as they can get their hands on. They're not like you or me. When we get a graphics card and build a gaming PC, we're done. With them, they want 30, 40, 50, hundreds, thousands of them. So that's where most of the GPU stock is going, or at least a really significant portion of it has been going at stupidly high prices. That's why you and I haven't been able to get one. Ethereum, however, is not crashing. There are some changes going on in the overall mining. Let me show you it's not crashing. Last year, at this time, Ethereum was worth about $238 per Ether. Yes, of course, it spiked up to 4,000, big deal. But right now, it is still going for $2,100 per Ether. That is that's 9 times its valuation year over year. That's 900%. Typically in an investment portfolio, if you get 7%, you are doing really well. 900% is insanity. So Ether is not crashing, okay? Ethereum's not crashing. There are changes going on to the GPU mining. One of the things that happened is everybody and their mother got into mining Ethereum, and Ethereum has this built-in thing called the difficulty curve. The difficulty curve is a pretty simple concept. It's built into Ethereum. The more miners that are on the network, the harder it is to mine. That way they don't just, print zillions of Ethereum and the currency would effectively become worthless otherwise. It's actually a pretty smart little mechanism. And while the Ethereum difficulty had been relatively low and the price was exploding, people were just buying GPUs like crazy because you were just making tons of money. Well, what happened is that the difficulty curve caught up to everybody and got all the way to a difficulty of 8,000. So the profitability to mine became a lot lower because despite the fact that you were still churning out a lot of hash rate, it was actually requiring more hash rate to mine the same amount of Ethereum each and every day. So what we saw was the profitability of something like the RTX 3090, which right now you can see is about $6 a day. Now this number fluctuates quite a bit. I've seen it up to 8 recently. This number was significantly higher than I'm showing you right here, but it's come down, and that's why graphics card prices have come down, because miners can't make as much money, and if they're not making as much money, they're not going to pay as much for the cards, because otherwise they would be losing money in the end. That's why graphics card prices are coming down right now. There are some changes in the crypto mining space. Let's go through them very, very quickly. The biggest one is, look, China is launching a massive crackdown on mining both Bitcoin through ASICs as well as Ethereum through GPUs. And the reason they're doing this, it's varied. It has to do with the fact that their electrical grid is pretty much maxed out. The price of coal is through the roof. There's actually a coal shortage, and all their factories are ramping up into overtime because of all the global supply shortage of just about everything. So they're looking to ramp their economy as fast as they can, and they need more power, and they're going to get it by reducing power usage from sectors of their economy that, frankly, the CCP doesn't see any benefit in, and that is definitely Ethereum mining and Bitcoin mining. I'm not going to get into the politics of that. That's just what is factually happening there. And as a result, what's happening is a lot of those Chinese mining farms, they're selling off their GPUs wholesale. Now, before you get too excited, now they're selling them off below MSRP, but they're selling off in bulk. And largely it looks like they are probably going to go to other mining firms in other countries or other areas of China that this is not happening in, rather than going to gamers. Now, listen, when this many cards get sold off, obviously some of them are going to end up in the hands of gamers, and that's a good thing. Finally, for Ethereum, there is EIP 1559. I'm not going to get too into it, but it doesn't end GPU mining. I keep seeing people say that out there. It does not end GPU mining. It simply changes the fee structure and will create Ethereum as a slightly deflationary currency. I think as a result of this, we're going to see the price of Ethereum go up. However, the profitability for mining, knock on wood, should go down unless some kind of massive price rally takes place. The profitability of mining Ethereum itself should decrease somewhere around 15 or 20%. And we expect to see that go into effect around August 4th. It's not pegged to a date, it's pegged to a particular block number in the blockchain when that gets processed. Everyone's predicting around August 4th is when that's going to happen. Of course, we do expect Ethereum to go to proof of stake and go to what's called Ethereum 2.0, but that's not going to be until either the end of this year or more likely the first quarter of next year. That's when Ethereum mining will stop. They're going to institute this thing called the difficulty bomb, but you don't care about that. You just want a GPU, so let's move on. So then what should you do if you want to get one of the latest graphics cards that we just talked about? Well, if you want to wait, that's fine. I predict the prices will probably come down to MSRP, as I did in my last video, around November, maybe December of this year, hopefully in time for Black Friday. However, that is another 4 to 5 months. If you're just sick of waiting at this point, like doing the math for myself, if you can go out on eBay right now and get an RTX 3060 for $690, $720, what's it going to come down to at MSRP? $500? $480? You're not really going to save that much more money by waiting another 5 months. So for your own peace of mind, if you just can't stand it anymore, these are the market conditions, man. I'm not going to judge you. Go do what you got to do and be happy with the gaming PC that you're going to build whenever you decide to build it. Just really exciting news for budget builders, including if you want to build a budget 1440p capable gaming rig for under $1,000. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Newegg. Newegg is restocking older GPUs, the GTX 1650, 1650 Super, 1660 Super, and RTX 2060. And they're doing it with bundle deals. The reason is scalpers were jumping in there with bots and buying up all the old graphics cards and then reselling them on eBay for stupidly high prices because they knew the supply was extremely limited since NVIDIA cut off most of the supply for it, and that they could get away with it and charge whatever they wanted. So Newegg has come in here, and this is one area where I actually agree with bundle deals. They've added a power supply, something you're going to need for this gaming PC anyway, and all it does is cut the profitability down enough for the folks going in with the bots that it's not profitable for them to resell this stuff on eBay. So jumping in here, you can see we've got the GTX 1650 with a power supply and ASUS one. And if you buy some of these ASUS combos, there's a $20 rebate until the end of July. So I'll leave links to all of these down in the description so you don't have to search for them all yourself. I will punch all of them out for you. 1650 with a 450 watt power supply for $270. Now, yes, it's still slightly overpriced, but we're talking about slightly overpriced as opposed to 2 to 3 times the actual cost. And remember, you're getting a power supply as well. Yes, the power supplies, you spend a little bit extra, but they are on the B tier on the Linus Tech Tips ones, at least the ASUS ones. There are some gigabyte power supplies on here that I don't necessarily like, but you don't have to get those. Get the ASUS ones instead. The other one that I was looking at is like the RTX 2060 right here with a 550 watt power supply for $534 after the rebate. Again, not the greatest deal in the world, but way better than it's been in a long, long time. And you can actually take these and convert them into builds. Let me show you. All right, let's go through these builds. Ultra budget 1080p. This is using the GTX 1650 deal along with a 450 watt bronze power supply. They don't have it in PC Part Picker, so I just dumped in an EVGA one. You can see we've got an i3 10100F for $104. I went with an ASRock B560M Pro 4, $124. We went with 16 gigs of 3200 speed memory, $74. Silicon Power A60, that's a 512 gigabyte M.2 NVMe drive for $55. The aforementioned GTX 1650 for $194. That's not a bad price. For it. Yeah, a year ago it would have gone for $130, but I mean, my goodness, that's good. Zalman S3 mid-tower case. It's just kind of a standard case. 3 included fans. You don't have to do anything to it. For $50, and the power supply comes out to $80. Yeah, it's a little more than you'd like to spend, but overall $680 to put together this PC. When's the last time you even thought about putting together a budget PC for $680? Really quickly, then we've got the mid-range 1080p gaming PC. I've upgraded this to an i5 10400, and I've included an aftermarket cooler in it. What other changes I make? Then we've got the GTX 1660 Super, and we've got the same power supply. $913 for this. Yes, a couple $100 more, but significantly better processor and significantly better GPU. You'll be able to play most games in 1080p at high to even ultra settings, pretty much for anything other than something like Cyberpunk 2077 or Microsoft Flight Simulator is kind of just out there. And then, of course, if you want a 1440p gaming experience, maybe you're waiting for Battlefield 2042 to come down the pike, here's a system you can put together with the RTX 2060 deal. I did this with a Ryzen 1600 AF. Feel free to substitute that out with something else that you'd like, maybe even the i5 10600K instead. But instead I went Ryzen with a B450 Tomahawk Max 2 motherboard. You can certainly use a cheaper motherboard on this if you wanted. Same memory kit, same drive. RTX 2060, same case, and this one comes with a 550 watt power supply, which is way more than you need for this particular system, for less than $1,000, $967. My goodness, when's the last time you thought about building a 1440p capable gaming PC for less than $1,000 in this market? It's amazing. Newegg Shuffles continues to be a good option. They have more and more stuff. I'm noticing more and more stuff is coming into stock. I think that's a sign of things to come. Register for it every day. They keep doing it different days, but they do have a notification system now, which will notify you, give you a phone notification. Just jump in there. I just register for everything and hit go. And then whatever I get, listen, I'll consider buying if I win it. Of course, if that doesn't work, pre-built are still an amazing deal right now. I just released an updated version of my best pre-built gaming PCs. I continue to update that list regularly. I will put a link to that in the description and up in the card right there. Gaming laptops are still an amazing deal. They have come so far in the last couple of years. I'm just stunned by the progress. I just did a best gaming laptops not too long ago. I'll include a link to that up there. Don't forget the Discord channels and the stock drop YouTube and Twitch channels that I've mentioned before. I will include links to them again down in the description. You can just have them open in the browser as you're doing other things all day, and they'll sound an alert and you can jump in there and try and buy something. But hopefully in the next couple months, we're going to see things. Number one, they're going to start to come into stock. Now their prices are still going to feel stupid high, but they'll at least be in stock, and then we will see slowly but surely, I believe, those prices come down, as well as the eBay prices steadily declining. So I feel like we're on the downslope on this. There are some dangers ahead in terms of Ethereum if its price spikes. But for right now, with everything going on, I have not been this optimistic about the GPU market since December, before the whole thing started. Well, final thoughts are, go out and get yourself a GPU right now if you want one. If you are dedicated to waiting, November, December is probably your timeline. Just figure out how much you're going to save right now versus how long you're going to have to wait. That should be able to make a decision for you. And if you want to build a budget gaming PC right now with a last generation card, either a GTX 1650, 1650 Super, 1660 Super, or RTX 2060, at least as of this second right now, that stuff is all in stock at Newegg. Now, what happens sometimes is this video comes out, a bunch of people rush and they buy all that up, and Newegg goes out of stock. If that happens, if you're watching this video maybe like later in the day it releases or a couple days after it releases and they're still out of stock, just keep checking back. I'll continue to update the links down in the video description of this one. Remember, all the links for the Newegg deals will be there, as well as links to my other videos and the sources for this as well. Happy gaming, good luck, stay in a zen place with this thing right now, and I'll catch you on the next one.